Hey everyone, welcome to another week of More Than You Asked For. That's a little bit of JavaScript and a whole lot of talking and other things. Oh, and apparently my cat Tally, who has decided to join. Don't touch the keyboard. I'm really worried you're gonna cause some craziness on Twitch. Tally, look in the camera. Can you look in the camera? She's not gonna let me do that. Not even a little bit. Tally, say hi to the world. She's not loving this at all. She doesn't like that. I'm gonna set her down. She might jump up again. How y'all been? Y'all been good? I'd love to hear what your weeks are like. I got some people in the chat already. We got Kevin, and we got Chris, and we got some claps and some cats. Yeah. Who's ready to do some coding tonight? I am. Quick recap of what's gone on in my week. Let's see. I got these made up. I got some new business cards made up. Very simple, just say Kyle Shevlin, JavaScript engineer. Who cares what title I am, senior software engineer? What's that mean? I love JavaScript. I want the world to know that. And, I kind of made those up because I'm going to be heading down to Silicon Valley this weekend to give my first talk. I'm giving a talk on functional programming. I honestly should probably be practicing that, but, I wanted to be here with y'all. I wanted to be here and have a good time and make some cool shit. And then, let's see, what else? If you were following me on Twitter, you now know I'm the proud owner of a rowing machine after much ado. It was a bit of a challenge to get that here. But I've been doing some rowing each day, feeling a little better than just sitting on my ass gaining weight all winter. I'm sure every one of you can relate because, winter's a tough time to get out and do shit. But yeah, other than that, I think, other than the special guest of my cat, I think that's really all I have to catch everyone up on. So, okay. So let's see. Last week, what did we cover last week? I'm not even sure. Kevin says on the chat, yeah, I need to start working out too. We could all use a little more exercise in our day. I have this theory, like, just saying, I guess there's not enough play in the adult day. There just isn't. We're too busy working. Whoever came up with that 8 hours of work, 8 hours of leisure, sure didn't have to commute very far because they're full of shit. But yeah, we have the time we have, and we have to make the most of it. So I mentioned I was planning a talk, and this gave me some inspiration for kind of what I wanted to do tonight. So I don't know if any of y'all have ever used slides.com. Might help if I typed it correctly, but slides.com. Let me switch scenes here so you can see what I'm looking at. Slides.com is one of my favorite apps. It's a really great presentation web software, web application, and it's really great for it's just great. Seriously, it's one of the best web applications I've ever used. But I want to show you something that slides.com has that makes me super stoked when I use it. If my internet would ever catch up and work. I'm really hoping that I don't have some problems. Come on. What the heck is going on? This is not a good sign. Don't do this. Ah, thank God. Okay. So it had trouble loading the fonts. But okay. It has this. Have you ever used slides.com? You ever seen this? So slides.com has this idea of slides don't just work linearly left to right. They also work up and down. So as you get over to a section, right, you can go down that section. And what I kind of want to do is I want to take this UI to some degree. This boxes with things to their side, and what I really want to do is I want to use I'm going to answer your question in a second. I want to use I want to build a talk planner that uses this idea. I want to be able to put like an idea in a box, and then in any direction make a new box and add a new idea. And I thought maybe tonight on the stream we would do that. Like we would just try and build that idea out as relatively quickly as we can. It won't be as amazing as this. I won't do anything like I won't add a way to add images or anything. But I just want to try this and see how this goes for streaming with y'all, to see if maybe this is an option. I have some people asking, am I using the Formidable Labs tool? Actually, yeah, my slides are made with Spectacle, my new set of slides. Maybe since y'all are so cool and you're on early, I can show you my talk. Let's see. Just enough. I think this runs on, it's going to run on the same thing. Give me a second. I'm going to shut down this webpack, and then I'll get this started, and I'll give you a sneak peek, since I don't think many of you are going to make it down to Silicon Valley. But I did propose this talk as a talk to FluentConf. I think some of y'all on the stream also submitted stuff to FluentConf. That would be cool. I'm gonna refresh this. But yeah, this is my talk. I'll walk you through a few slides. That's who I am. Brief anecdote. And I got some big ass code slides and stuff like that. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. But yeah, this is built with Spectacle. It's by Formidable Labs. It looks like Kevin has put a link in the chat. But you know, I gave y'all a little preview of that a couple weeks ago. You can find that on YouTube. It might still be on Twitch, but if you're looking for like my stream, you just want me talking in the background because you love my silky smooth voice. I'm just kidding. But you know, if you did want to ever rewatch something, I try and post these to YouTube within a few days after the stream. So you can always go to youtube.com/Kyle Shevlin and you can check that out. I think there's one on there called An Intro to Functional Programming, which covers a lot of the things I'm covering in that talk. But yeah, let me shut that down. We don't need to look at my slides all night, and we'll fire this back up. But yeah, you might have to bite the design of those slides. What do you mean? Were they bad? Were they good? I thought they were okay. I was going for that Kung Fury React Rally 2017 vibe. I wanted something that like stood out with the danger, and I tweeted about the danger span tag that I made that automatically applies the danger styles that I made. It was fun. You know, I'm not a designer. I have some opinions and thoughts, but when it comes down to like really doing the nitty gritty, tedious detail work of getting it right, like I can do that from. You give me a mock-up, I'll nail your mock-up. I'll get it right. But if you were to ask me to try and really like make these really nice details, that's not something I'm really good at. I never have been. Oh well. Kevin says they look good to him. I appreciate that, Kevin. I'm getting some crap out of my pocket. My pockets are full. I had to fetch Christmas ornaments earlier from our storage unit, which means I have all these our keys for locks and stuff down there. So, okay. Chris Salt and Burnham uses some slang sometimes. I mean, maybe not slang, but I'm never quite sure. He really liked it. Good. Thank you. Glad you liked it. All right. Also, I'm never afraid to use pink. Don't be afraid to use pink. Pink's a cool color. Don't be afraid of it. Who cares about gender bullshit, right? Like, fuck that. Okay, so I have the code base up here. I've restarted Webpack, so as long as we get rid of that, we'll fire this up. Um, okay, so what I kind of envision is I envision maybe a button right in the center to start with, and you click and you add like your first idea. So what I'm thinking is you click in and let's see, we'll need to create a box, and then we'll need a way to get to that box and edit its contents. And so, you know, I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be pretty challenging for me to do in like 2 hours without really any planning. I didn't really think ahead, but you know, I hope we have some fun, and I hope we learn some things. I'm gonna try and build it using React, and well, obviously React, but I'm gonna try and build it with Redux as well. I think I should have that up, and I should have it a nice big size. Bob the Noob says he uses pink on his site. Hell yeah. Way to go. Have no fear, my friends, right? Okay, we got Redux up. I'm gonna shrink that just a bit. All right. Okay. So let me show you what we got so far. This was just my I thought about using Create React App, but I don't have a ton of experience with that either. I'm sure it would have worked just fine. I'm certain it would have worked just fine and amazing and great. But I just have my React Nano Kit. I think I've shown you guys that before. It's nothing special. It's just like a pre-made React boilerplate that I've made. It's got a couple components built in, and I just have this greeting one. Let's get rid of that. We don't actually need that right here, but we will call it Talk Planner. We'll make things as simple as possible. The less magic, the better, at least in this case. And we'll delete that, and I don't want things yelling at me, and I know I have it up here, so we will delete this, and we will delete that. We don't need it. It's gone. I also probably won't write many tests. I don't think I'll write any tests tonight. That'll just be too slow. Oh, what did I call it? What did I call it? I'm going to check the README. I thought this was kind of clever. Ideas don't always flow in a straight line. Okay, so what are some of the first things we need to do? HTML. I still got my linters, people. They're a pain in the butt. So that Airbnb linter hates apostrophes. It thinks that you're trying to escape HTML entities. So you always got to do that. Okay, all ideas don't always flow in a straight line. I like that. That's good stuff. All right. So the things I'm thinking that we're going to need off the top of my head are we're going to need something to create unique IDs for each slide, like each square. And the reason I'm going to need an ID is I'm going to use the ID as part of a route. So I'm going to need React Router as well. And so what I'm thinking is, like, you click onto a slide, it's going to update React Router to go to a slide page with the info pulled from that URL, from that ID. And somewhere in Redux, I'm going to store an object of the contents of that box. Y'all following me? So that's kind of my game plan right there. So I should just write these down. You know what? Let's write them down in the README. What do we need? And y'all can help me figure out what we need and what's helpful to you in the chat tonight. Send me shit like that you think would be cool ideas. Maybe we'll get to them tonight. Maybe we won't. Or you can, fix my bugs, right? All that stuff. So things we need. We need React. We need to be able to create unique IDs. And I'm thinking I'm going to use Short ID. It's a little package I've used before. We're going to need routing. So we'll grab React Router. You know, maybe at some point we'll need other things. Acceptance criteria. To borrow a phrase from work, right? So, can add a text box in any direction. UI displays those blocks. That might be going a little far, but we'll get there. I'll be able to do it. What else? Can edit a block after creating. I don't know. We'll think of some more things. But anyways, yeah. You know, while I'm downloading some of these packages, some of y'all tell me how your week was. I'd love to hear about it in the chat. What's going on? Maybe what are your holiday plans? Hey, how about this? If you got some time off around the holidays, what do you think you're gonna learn anything? Are you gonna sit down and try and add some new skill to your repertoire? Are you just gonna chill and get the fuck away from your computer because you need to do it for a while? I totally get that. Me personally, I'm gonna be learning Reason ML. I'm gonna finally give it a shot. I had a guy ask me why his computer was out of date. What do you mean his computer was out of, like, just like things just needed to update, like a piece of software or a package or something like that? Some people just really don't realize that computers aren't magic. Bob the Noob finished a small project with React. Thumbs up, plus 100. The company I work for has 200 stickers, actually, that are really cool. Hold on. I gotta show you this. I do have one on my laptop. You know what? Let me go to Monologue so you can really see it. Okay. Can you see that? You see that? The 200 sticker? That's pretty sweet. You know what else is sweet? That front end happy hour stuff. Oh, an organ. You gotta get the organ sticker. That's good stuff. Not a shirt says my answer was time. That's true. Time will outdate all things. And Bob the Moose, well, not 100% finished, but if you feel good and you're ready to ship it, do it. Don't wait. Ship it. Ship it. Fucking ship it. All right. Windows updates. I haven't been on a Windows machine in like 5 years now, something like that. In fact, my Windows machines are just sitting over here on my workbench, just collecting dust. I'm not sure what to do with them. Maybe I should turn them into mining bitcoins or something like that. Salt and Burnham says, submitted my first PR to fix accessibility issues on the RxJS docs. That's awesome. You know, docs always deserve good accessibility. Bob the Noob got his first star on GitHub. Good job. Way to go. I dual boot Linux. No, I'm just on Mac, man. Honestly, like, I don't know that I'll ever spend enough time learning about the actual, like, operating system to really care to do crazy things like that. Yeah, sorry. I got some people tweeting me, you know, I should put that in Do Not Disturb. I'm the worst. I'm the worst, man. Actually, Twitter has become, it's both awesome and something I really have to work at because I feel like some people in my life aren't happy about how much I'm on it, and I totally get it, and it's challenged. So like I'm working on creating balance, like creating time frames when it's accessible to me and I'm responsive to people, and other time frames where I put it away or put it on Do Not Disturb. And yeah, I mean, we all have to create balance in our lives. So all right. Let's see. I need short ID. I'm gonna look it up with my fancy Alfred package. I think it's just called short ID, but I want to make sure I get it right. And I'm just gonna. If you've ever used universally unique identifiers, UUIDs, I kind of like this because it's just a tiny little package, and it'll be just fine for what we're trying to do. You require short ID and you call generate, and it makes one of these things, and it works for me. So we will just pull that down here. Yarn add a short ID. Yeah. And then, yeah. And then we'll need to be able to put some styles into this thing. And I'm going to go with emotion. Just because my good buddy Kai Hohenberger makes it. And it's also super performant. It's like if you took style components and you put it on crack. It's really good. Since we're going to use it with React, we actually need to do this one where we need to install all of these. And I'll need to add I think I need to add the plugin into Babel. In fact, this probably points to the Babel plugin. Let's check out what it does. Features will work without the plugin. Minification, sweet. Oh, sorry, good call. Got to put it in the coding scene so y'all can see what I'm doing. I got that. I set up that new scene so when I'm talking a lot, like y'all can focus more on my visage. You know, but yeah, you're totally right. I should share everything that you can see. That makes sense to me. My bad. Okay, so we're gonna add some emotion to our project. So, oh man, come on. Oh, my trackpad sometimes does this. It bugs out and it's like, no, we're not gonna let you drag and select stuff. I'm sorry it took me so while. Some of you are like, get it smaller. We don't fucking love your face, God. No, just kidding. I know you're not that mean. Maybe in your head. It's all good. All right. We need to update, I think, Babel with plugins, if I remember right. I want to look at this real quick. I'd assume you'd have to see the installation instructions. There you go. Emotion. All other okay. Plugins. Yep. All right. So plugins, emotion. Might help if I did that in the right order. Okay, so we should have emotion available in our application to use. Just in case, we're gonna restart that. Yeah. Okay, so now we got stuff to put CSS, and then I said we want to put React Router in, right? So let's get that too. We're gonna want I think we'll just use the browser router, and I'll try my best not to be too confusing here. View the docs here. React Router's like website is actually I think it's really cool. If you've never used it, I think it's pretty dope. So let's see. Well, you think I would find the thing to install it. Quick start, maybe that's what I need. There we go. Okay, React Router DOM. All right, that's what we need. Come on. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a button component first, and let's just create a way to even click the first idea you have and add something. Yeah, let's do that. We'll need buttons in this, so it doesn't hurt to make one. I really need to update my snippets. I've been a little behind schedule with all the things I have to make, but I'm not sure what I'm going to pass to this yet. Probably an on-click, a handle click function for sure, and probably some children. So I can just give it some text, and then let's see. Oh, that's not what I call it. Button. Why I want to do tab complete? That's the worst. And we'll pass the children into the middle of the button. We'll close off the button. And what do I want to do here? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Sometimes I just type random things when I can't remember what I want to type. So we've made our button. We might want to throw some styles in here. I'm not super worried about it at the minute. I'm just trying to conceive of how this is even going to work. Add your first idea. And then I need to pass a handle click, which I haven't defined yet. We'll have to work on that. Bob the Noob says, I used style components on that project I did. I saw motion after it was too late. I'll have to give it a whirl next project. Bob the Noob, I'm going to tell you, go check out the library when you get a chance. I think you'll find that it's pretty easy to swap between the two. There might even be articles on swapping on it because the motion is designed for like high performance. Yeah, I don't think it'll be that hard. I think to some degree it's just a slight change. You might even be able to make a code mod that did it, honestly. I know you can even just use the styled word. I don't actually know what I want to do here yet. So I'm just going to give it a no-op. It won't do a darn thing. For those of you who haven't maybe heard the term no-op before, which was not one I really knew maybe a year or two ago, a no-op is just a function that does nothing. It's a no operation, right? So that's great. The only issue I had with using something like style components is that when you name your component, that coming up with a name for the style is tough because you can't use that same name as the component. Yeah, that's absolutely true. That can be really challenging. Which is why you're totally right. Yeah. Especially if you did something like I did here, like if you were just to do like button and then in this case what he's talking about is like you import I think you can import, is styled the direct import? I should have looked. Emotion.js. I should know this by now, but I don't. It happens. I think styled is the direct import from a React emotion. So yeah. So styled from React emotion. What he's saying is like, so in order to do a styled component, CSS and JS thing like this, you end up with something like, you want to call it a button because that's what it is, but you can't because you've just defined it as a button down here. So you need to come up with some other name, right? And in this case, maybe I just do something like this. I don't know, padding. We'll say display, inline block. Sometimes I miss having Emmet in CSS and JS. I'm not gonna lie. Vertical, align. I'm just gonna go with middle for now. Padding, we'll do 5 pixels. Border radius of 3 pixels. Border, none. That kind of thing, right? And then what you do here is you replace these like this, right? And that should have some styles, and like we should actually be able to see it, assuming I did things right. I missed some prop validations apparently. and it doesn't have a background, so that doesn't help you see it. But we can work on that. Background color. Just for anyone who might want my little opinion on this, I always use background color if all I want to define is the color. I think it's a foot gun to use the shorthands in CSS, because if you have a big app and you're cascading it all, you end up running into cascading issues at some point, and you just don't realize why your specificity is too specific. So I would say avoid it, but that's just me. Your mileage may vary. There we go. Maybe give it a little more padding on the sides. We can make it cooler at some point. Let's fix the prop type issues. And if I ever do anything that seems crazy or you don't understand what's going on, please take a second to send something up in the chat and let me try and handle it. Let me try and answer the question. In this case, we need to tell, you know, there's a bit of type safety in React, and that type safety comes in the form of prop types. So we have to tell our components what props that they're expecting. And in this case, we're expecting a handle click that's a function, and then children, which could be any. And I know that, I mean, I don't have to give it any. I guess I could give it some text, but I really want to give it children in case people need to put spans for things like icons and stuff like that inside the button. I don't know. I don't have time to really waffle on this, I guess, tonight. It's something that I could figure out at another point. I know it's going to yell at me about having an any. Any type is forbidden. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to disable ESLint disable line React forbid prop types, because I don't want to hear it. And then it's going to tell me that because I'm not saying children is required, which I suppose it's not, but a button without anything under it is kind of weird. So maybe I'll just say it is required, and that should be good. Yeah, compiled successfully, and then our app's back to working. And it doesn't do anything, and maybe we should give it some kind of active style. So cursor, pointer. How do you do this? I actually don't know. Can you use the parent? I'm gonna find out. It is active. We will, I don't know. Can you use Sass with emotion? We'll do background color, aquamarine. Is that one? I think it's one. Yeah, it seems to work. Maybe I can even do and hover. And if I have Sass, we're just gonna give it a try. We'll say teal and point. We'll 5%. We're gonna find out. That's how we learn, people. It's not really. I can't really tell. It might not work. Let's make it really dark. Exaggerate that stuff. Give it a transition of background color. Ease. No, it doesn't look like that's working. Let's see. We're learning, people. We're learning. Emotion, JS, and Sass. I guess maybe you can't. I'm sure you can. It's missing Sass. How can you do this? I should just ask Kai. I'll check here. Maybe we'll have something. Sass. Adding a CSS preprocessor. Okay, node Sass. Node Sass build watch. All right, we won't deal with it. It's too much for this stream. Fair enough. No big deal. Maybe I can figure out what I can do is I can inspect this. I'm going to get the color off of it. And I should be able to make some of this a little darker. Okay. So we'll make this a little darker. And I'll steal this. Actually, let's go much darker. There we go. I'm going to steal that. And we'll use it here. Nice. Yeah, but why would I use JS in that case, King Daru? Like, you know, it's really a style thing. I mean, the only reason like I would use JS in something like this would be like, I mean, if instead like, you know, you bring up a good point. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been so dismissive. Let me back up. So about a week ago at work, we were working on, one of my teammates was working on separating the Chrome of our application into its own app, basically, that we can, like a package that we can import into our app and use in any Fastly front-end app. And by Chrome, I mean, if you don't know the old term, I didn't, so it's educational, hopefully, to someone, but the header, any nav components, and the footer, and the kinds of things that don't ever change, right? And I was really intrigued by the approach they were taking because they were using JavaScript to solve everything, and in a way they were actually kind of destroying some accessibility. So for example, the nav had a number of items, and we don't have responsivity really in our app. It's something I'm really kind of disappointed with, and I'm trying to work on it, but it's hard to get time, and it's not really a priority for our users, since our users are typically like DevOps people, and not many people use our app on their phone. It's kind of a chicken and the egg thing right now. But so when the nav shrinks, instead of using CSS, which is very appropriate for moving links from one style to another into like a hamburger nav, instead he obliterated the nav links in one location and rewrote them in another one in the DOM. And it's really becomes a debate on, so manipulating DOM is really cheap to do in JavaScript applications. It's trivial, right? I mean, that's essential. That's what we're doing. We're trivially changing and manipulating the DOM to some degree. However, for someone who is maybe trying to access this with some accessibility feature, like a screen reader or something like that, you know, they might get lost a little bit when the nav is not in the same location, the page shifts, and maybe focus is lost and all this kind of stuff. And it seemed interesting that the reason he chose this was largely, well, I just don't think he'd ever tried it in CSS. I don't think that was something that he had really had to do in his life, in his work, and I think that's okay. But something I had done a lot. So I stepped in and I showed him how to do it with CSS, and that you could totally do it with CSS. And I think sometimes sometimes you have to actually understand what the right tool for the job is. I think in this case, like, I could write a JavaScript function to darken it. I could get the RGBAs, and I could do all that, or I could pull down some hex library or something like that. But, you know, and maybe in the long run, if I wasn't doing this on stream and really fast, maybe that's what I would do. But just exploring and seeing if Sass is available to me and something I know really well, I think that's fine, right? Like, you know, in this case, what we're trying to do is we're trying to affect presentation, and my presentation isn't getting affected by any kind of props. So I don't really need the JavaScript yet. I guess that's how I would look at it. But that is what's kind of nice about these, is you can affect them with props. That's always cool. Props is available as an argument inside of this top button. So I'm really sorry. I didn't mean to be dismissive. I struggle with that sometimes, so I hope you'll forgive me, King Daro. But yeah, that was kind of my thoughts. I was just exploring this, and yeah. But you're totally right. Totally right. You could write a function for this. In fact, someone has, I'm sure. We just have to go find the library. Okay. Okay, so my button has to live in something so that handle click can actually have an action ready to do something with it. So my button can't just sit here and app. We kind of need a bigger component. We're going to want to connect it to the Redux store. How do we... So I'm not entirely sure how this is all going to look. I'm going to create... Oh man, you should know something about me. When I actually build stuff and plan it out, I might make some noise doing it, but I tend to actually write down like what I'm doing beforehand. Like especially, I tend to be a think twice, code once kind of person. So maybe I'm weird, but that's who I am. Add block. We'll call it add box. And I know at some point I'll need to update a box. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I am making a couple action constants. These are the types that actions need in Redux, so I'm building out these ahead of time. Let's see. King Daru says I don't need the aux component. You're right. I don't think I've updated this to 16.2, to be fair, though. But you're absolutely right, and we can cover fragments at another time. Let me find it. Dependencies, React. No, I'm just on the plain old 16. I haven't updated this package in a while, and I need to. But yes, you're totally right that fragments is a thing. It's an interesting syntax. It's definitely helpful for sure. Maybe at some point I'll even have delete box. That would be good. Okay, so we have a couple action types now. We're gonna come to our actions file, and at least let's make the add box function action creator. So add box. We aren't going to get anything. We will send the types of add box, but I want to send an ID along with it. So so we will generate that ID using import short ID from short ID, and then that ID will be short ID.generate. And so what this will do is it'll just create like a 7 to 14 character short ID. Let's see. That should be good. And then we know boxes, I want them to have like a content, and we can make it default to nothing. We don't have to send this in the payload. We can have it generated in the reducer, which is also completely feasible in the add box section. So I'm just going to do that. we may at some point need to pass in a direction when we're choosing above, below, left, or right. I'm not going to get ahead of myself right now. And let's go to the reducer. And we'll just say boxes is an empty array as the initial state. And this is just boilerplate crap that I have in there. But let's take our first types. Add box. Excuse me. And we are going to append it to our boxes array. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with reducers and redux, we actually want to handle this immutably, meaning we aren't going to do something like state.boxes.push. We're not going to mutate that array. And the reason being a couple things. Objects and arrays are stored by reference in JavaScript, and it makes it quick to be able to determine if things have changed by just seeing if the reference has changed. And that's very useful. But also following like immutable patterns means that our functions are pure, and we'll always get the same state. Like, if I do a mutation, for example, there's no guarantee that certain mutations won't guarantee that I get the same state back every time, regardless, depending on what arguments I pass in. Whereas if I return immutable data structures, that means like instead of returning the current boxes array, I'm going to make a copy with my addition and give that back. I can guarantee my function is pure, it's testable, and I'll never have some mutation mishap. But yes, here we go. So let's return. We're going to spread out all of state, and then boxes. What we're going to do is we will return state.boxes. And we will add our next box, which should have an ID of our action ID. We'll set the content to null, maybe. Maybe it'll be an empty string since it'll be a text area. I'm not entirely sure. And I don't, at some point I think we'll also need a position to define like, where is it at? Maybe the first one starts at like 0, 0, but from there, like position is derived from position would be derived from based on where you're at. So I'm kind of picturing like you have a box. If you click the box, you go in to edit it. If you hover on the outside, there will be plus arrows around it. And if you click one of those, it should be able to derive the position to pass on the action regardless. So I will actually just call it action position. And we'll work on making that solid. I'm going to catch up. King Daru says, Ahi says, MobX is a bit easier to learn and use. I have learned that for beginners, MobX is great. I haven't really dove into MobX. Preethi Casaretti has a really great talk on comparing MobX and Redux that she gave at ReactConf earlier in the year. I would recommend checking that out to kind of get a high-level comparison of the two. King Daru likes MobX, says it's because there's less magic. Supports immutability. Yeah, by default, it follows like the Elm architecture. Redux, I think, is more popular for sure. And I think that's partly because, with Dan Abramov working at Facebook, it feels more like what they do. But yeah, a little older. Yeah, maybe. It could definitely be because it's a little older. So yeah, now I gotta go back and give it a position. I know I'll need to give it a position, but we'll default it to... I'm not even sure I want to store our positions. Maybe as a 2-value array. I'm not sure. I might want to change that at some point. Arrays can be tedious, to work with in this kind of context. But yeah, so this should what it'll do is we're trying to return our next state, right? So this is an object spread, so it's going to take all the keys in our state object and spread them out, but it's going to merge with whatever I give it. So in this case, I'm going to give it the boxes key and merge that. And what we need to do is this is an array spread. We need to spread all the current boxes we have, and then we pass in a new item. So yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with that. And we can kind of test it out, honestly. We can come over to Redux here. We can give it an add box. And we can dispatch the type, and we have a box in our state, and let's take a look at it. Okay, it looks like our ID didn't get set the way I expected. That's a bummer. Content was null, which is right, and position didn't get set. Okay, so what we can do is well, we can console log our action and just see what happened. Oh, I know what happened. I don't even need to log it. It was me being silly. Like, I actually need to call this function because it's doing a bunch of stuff for me. Right? Yeah. So it's not enough for me to just hand it that. I have to hand it something like this. So instead, if I were to do add box ID, and we'll give it a string, and I did give it a position of, and we dispatch that, we should get a second item, and it should have the things we expect. Why aren't you letting me scroll? It's not letting me scroll down. Okay, that's more what I'm going to expect. I'm going to dispatch an action like that and get that. So, all right. I'm going to add a container folder, containers. And we'll call it the boxes container. And what we're going to do is we're going to map it to state to get our boxes. And then we'll give it a presentational component to actually display our boxes. So yeah. Wow, we've got quite a bit of people in here. As always, one, thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I hope I'm not too boring tonight. This isn't I haven't really tried app building with y'all before. I've mostly done instruction. Y'all know that. And I'm happy to shift to that. I'm happy to pause at any moment and talk about something you might want to focus on. As much as this is for me to have some time to work on some side projects, this is also time for me to help you. I can't sit down with each one of you all the time and help, and I'm not saying you even need it. I'm just saying if you wanted it, right? Like, to me, Twitch is kind of one of my ways of, one, hanging out with some cool people, but two, it's knowledge sharing, right? And it's amplifying that, because it's really hard to share knowledge like one-on-one. It doesn't scale great, and so this gives me some opportunity to do that. And always feel free to ask me questions. You're totally welcome. And always drink along with me if drinking is something you enjoy. All right, we need our container component, and I think this container is going to pass down. I think we'll use it to pass down the handle click event too. That's why I didn't mean to write containers. I'm gonna close some stuff out. This should be component. That's what I meant to do. Class boxes container. Extends component. And we'll write our render first. And we'll return our boxes. That's what I'm just going to call it, boxes. But we'll pass in the boxes equal this dot props dot boxes. And maybe we'll pass in handle click, I think, for now. And that's going to be this dot props dot add box is what that's going to be. And then we'll need to map state to props. We'll map the boxes in there, state.boxes. I'll need to go get React Redux up at the top. Connect. Okay, we'll need a map dispatch to props. Yes, you can pass this as an object to the second argument of connect. I still write it this way because I'm cool like that. We'll need to import add box from our actions. And we'll export default our boxes, our connect actually, map state. Oh. Map dispatch, and making sure y'all can still see on there. Maybe I can bump it up for y'all. Is that bigger? Does that help? Like, just making sure that y'all can read what I'm writing. Boxes container. Okay. Yeah, if I ever need to bump something up, also let me know that too. That would be really helpful. And then we'll need import prop types since we're doing some of that. And I'll put that here. We will, let's see, boxes is a prop types dot array. I think it's going to make me do prop types dot shape. And then I got to remember what's in it. ID is a prop type of string. Can you turn down the 4 watt? The light up here? Is that what you want me to turn down? Do you want me to turn down the light I have over here shining on my face? I don't know what 4 watt is. I'm sorry. ID is a prop types that string. What else was on it? Content was prop types. That string is required. Position, the prop types dot array of prop types dot number, and is required. And then we also have the add box, which is a prop types dot func that is required. Well, if you're, I don't know, I can't tell if this is a joke. Y'all have turned it into a joke. I'm going to be perfectly honest. Sometimes I really fail to pick up on social cues. A little bit about me, and I don't know if you really care to know this or not, but 2 of my sisters have severe bipolar disorder and Asperger's syndrome. They're identical twins, so unfortunately they have the same identical uh, bad mental health issues. And in recent years, we've begun to start to suspect that maybe my dad is kind of slightly on the spectrum too. And by slightly, I mean very slightly, like maybe 1-2% kind of thing. But it's made me think about my life and how I actually really... Oh, hey, Tally. Nice to see you again. I really struggle sometimes to pick up on subtle cues and that kind of thing. I'm just going to let her roam for a few minutes while I talk. In fact, I'm going to shift to the monologue scene if you don't mind. Hi, Tally. This is Tally. She is named after Tally Zara Vas Normandy from the Mass Effect series, if y'all played those games and enjoyed them. So I sometimes have started to wonder if maybe I'm like barely on the spectrum myself, because I just do not pick up on certain things, and I never did. As a kid, I really didn't pick up on things, and it was really frustrating. And if you've been following the news this week, there's a lot of talk about bullying this week, and I was incessantly bullied as a kid, like horribly, like wanted to kill myself, kind of bullied. And I'm glad I didn't. And I it's one of those things that you were sitting on my keyboard, girl. It's one of those things you can't understand as a kid, that things will get better and they will change. But they do. So if any of y'all have kids, I pray that they never deal with being bullied. If they do, I hope you have the courage to help them learn to stand up for themselves, to realize their value is not found in the bullshit of other people and all sorts of things. So I'm just saying, I don't need anyone's sympathy. We all deal with shit. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jax, and anyone else. But my main point is, if I fail to get your joke, I actually think maybe there's a reason for it, and I'm trying to get better at it. Always trying to get better. And yeah, so we got some questions on here. Oh, it's a classic Twitch meme. Thank you, Bob. Thank you for clearing that up. I don't know enough about that. Can y'all send me a link to that on at Twitter, Kyle Shevlin, so I can check that out. Mixel asks, do I plan to make a complete course for sale? Yeah, actually, I'm so a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, I was added as an Egghead IO instructor, and I've been debating what I'm going to do on it. It's really intimidating when you have such wonderful teachers like Kent C. Dodds and even Dan Abramov putting his stuff out there. So I've been trying to consider what I might do. I'm talking with a friend of mine here in town who's really amazing at React Native, and we might come up with something. But yes, there's definitely plans in 2018 to put some of this material into like a course form and sell it for some minor profit. I got to get that passive income going. That's kind of how I feel. Actually, so if I were to ever derive money from this, like 100% of it will go to basically two things in my life. So you don't feel like I'm just being irresponsible or anything. It'll go to paying down my massive student loan debt, which I'm willing to talk about too, or it'll be saving up for my first home. And I know that's something like many people in our generation desire and can't quite get to. Even me making great money, I'm still trying to get there, right? And a big part of it is my student loan debt. My wife and I both have master's degrees that were very expensive, and I currently pay more in student loans each month than I do in rent. And I live in Portland, so my rent isn't cheap by like national comparison. I mean, it's kind of cheap compared to like New York or Silicon Valley or something like that. But to give you an idea, I pay about $11.50 a month in rent, but I pay about $1,500 a month in student loans. And so that's not chump change. Saving that kind of money on the loans each year would have meant I'd be in a house already, building equity. And philosophically, if you really ask me, I actually think my generation is kind of fucked in a way of saving enough for retirement, because we're paying down these massive bills our previous generations didn't have. And the way retirement works is compounding interest, right? And if you can't get the money in young, you won't have it when you're old. So I'm really nervous about myself and our generation, and I'll stop there. I don't want to turn this into too political of a show. That's not the point. But I do appreciate y'all listening to me and chatting with me about these things. Let's get out of monologue mode and back to some coding mode. All right, so we got our boxes container. All it's really doing is it's just mapping some of our Redux stuff into a component I haven't even made yet, and I haven't imported yet either. So let's break our app. Let's import boxes from components, boxes, and let's go make that. Y'all might be like, man, Kyle, you're not making much progress. Well, I feel like I'm making progress. It's one of those things that, like, when you're writing code and software, sometimes you have to make a lot of things before they all kind of come together. And you have to find a way to kind of keep it all in your head, or at least just knowable. Maybe write stuff down if that works for you. I don't need to import boxes. I'm making boxes. Speaking of boxes, how's y'all's like Christmas decorations going? Just this evening, I pulled up all our ornaments and our garlands and our lights and our stockings and stuff like that. And I actually think my wife is in the other room dressing the tree. So yeah, let's see. Import React from React. We're making boxes. So const boxes equals, I know I'm getting boxes and I'm getting a handle click function getting passed down to me, and we'll just make a div and boxes dot map box, and I will return. We'll make a box component at some point. I guess that'll be next, and box will equal box. And each box needs a unique key, which will be the box ID. Export default boxes, and we need to add prop types. Again, you'll find a theme. What gets great about having all these types around though is like, so one of the things you can do, like, you see how this is the same? Oh, it's called, oh, I did call it handle click, good. You see how this is the same? Essentially what you could eventually start doing is, you could like export these as objects and import them. So like, you know, if we had our boxes type, for example, actually, why don't we do that so I can show you that to you. There's a lot of things going on. What kind of music do you like? I'm a fan of trance music. I want to catch this before it's all good. I like big painting, got a planet, wireframe it, put layers on top. Yeah, painting is fun. I hold Bob Ross painting parties. They're a lot of fun. We have a drinking game that goes with them. Christmas, still not set up. I keep meaning to, but I've not yet made it far. I'm skipping Christmas so I can work more. I'm actually, if you want to skip Christmas because it's a capitalistic bullshit holiday, I get that. To work more, I don't quite get that. Unless you need the money. I understand that. Napcats doesn't celebrate, bah humbug. Do you perhaps celebrate like Saturnalia or anything? Or You know, I'm not so keen so much on celebrating Christmas anymore in its I guess traditional sense, but I am keen on spending time with friends. The older you get, the less time you get to spend with friends, and I really love my friends and all the new ones I make, and that's what I really enjoy about holidays and time like that. Ahi got guy's wife an iPhone X. That's an early present. Nice, nice. If I got myself, I mentioned it earlier, but Anna and I got ourselves a rowing machine. And actually, it's been really great. We've only had it a few days, but it's really nice to get on there. I mean, even 10 minutes kills me, and but it's been good. That was our Christmas gift to each other. Ahi's got it right. Family and friends, regardless of event or date. I'm with you. I just life is so busy. Sometimes holidays are a really good way to say, let's slow down and actually plan and do it. I think that's what I was trying to get at. And then, her Voenchen, or Air Voenchen. That's probably Air Voenchen. Hello, I hope I got that right. I'm not a. I don't know any German, and that looks kind of German to me. So I apologize if I really fucked it up, but doing my best. All right. So one thing I was kind of mentioning is like, you see how this is shared, and if I was going to have to write boxes anymore, we could make another file that allowed us to like create this type here, and then we could just import it, and we could set like boxes is equal to boxes type, right? Or boxes prop types. And that can be really useful in your app if you're going to end up using the same shapes over and over and over and over again. Like right here, this is actually the box shape. And this is actually the argument for why you might use something like TypeScript and Flow instead, is because you have to define these types anyways. And then it becomes a little easier to, as you've already built all this stuff, to be like, oh, my state shape is this combination of types. My prop shape is this combination of types. And that's the win you get from that. I mean, there's other wins, but that's definitely something there. Okay, so we have our boxes. I feel confident about that. Let's make our box component. And our box component will have an ID. It'll have, I mean, I don't know that I'll do anything with the ID. I'm just saying I have it. It'll have content, and it'll have a position as of right now. And yeah. And I might actually have to pass down the handle click component. If I was taking my time with this, I'd find a way to not need to pass it down. I'd pass it directly to the right thing. So, but this will work. And in fact, let's pass that down. The reason I'm going to pass it down and is then inside my box, I can set up the buttons themselves that'll call add box, and that's what we've done. We've got some people talking about, oh, hey Sebastian, well, good morning, man. I know you. Thanks for joining. Hope you get a good breakfast. I am drinking my nightcap. All right, man, we are not going to get very far tonight, but I hope we're having fun. Are you having fun? I'm having some fun. Let's see. Ahi says he's not in the habit of doing prop types. I'm not sure how you do that. Do you just turn off the warnings? And then Netcode Monkey or Jen says she loves prop types. I love prop types too. They're pretty nice. It seems tedious at times, but you never feel bad for having them. They help you out big time. They save you from stuff, especially like oh, you just passed a string to where you expected an object or something like that. Saves you a lot of time not having to be like, why is this not computing? I think my wife just laughed at me. He says no warnings. Oh, you must not have a linter on, or do you never even see it in the... Huh, that's interesting. Does Create React app not have a linter built in? Or it should just tell you, unless you're so good that you've never messed up. Like, I'll show you what I mean. Like, here. We won't do anything with the position just yet. Export default box. I keep forgetting it. I will have my snippets ready next week, I think. And then we're just gonna straight up steal this. Oh, I forgot this is required. But yeah, we'll just straight up do this. Oh, actually, good thing I caught this too. This is actually a level nested. It's under box. So I don't know. It might let me do it this way. I'm not entirely sure. I know I'm somewhere in the ballpark though, so I'm not worried. I'm not worried at all. King Daro says, I use TypeScript. Prop types are a lifesaver since I have the memory capacity of a squirrel. Forget to define props all the time. Some of y'all follow me on Twitter might have seen that I said last night that it's about high time for me to learn. Oh, come on. What the heck is going on? It is not... Okay. I might have to kill this. Let's give it just a fresh restart. Maybe it'll fix things. I don't know what's going on. I cannot get my... can y'all see this? I don't know if you can see this. I'm hitting... I can't keep my console up. I don't know what's going on. Maybe my batteries are dying on my keyboard and the escape button isn't working right. Good thing I don't use Vim or I'd be fucked. All right. What am I doing? What on earth am I? Okay, I haven't even added the boxes container. Let's do that. Let's watch this. Let's watch this implosion. Okay. We don't need this button. We ain't need no button. No, just let's get the boxes container from containers. And we're gonna put it in its own div here. And I'll put this here in a header. I'll deal with that in a second. Oh, come on. That wasn't the line to delete. That was the line to delete. Okay. And maybe instead of a div, we'll just call this the main. And footer. Stay calm. Actually, not carefully, freely. Okay. What did component should be written as a pure function. React prefers... Oh. Okay. Box is not defined. I thought I did. Did I not import it? I didn't import it. I'm a dummy. Are you really gonna prefer that? I guess I get it. Okay. Okay. The linter knows best. So you're going to get to see a quick little rewrite. Boxes, add box. And then I don't even need that. I'm implicitly returning it. And I guess that means I don't need that, but Prettier shall fix that for me, won't it? Oh, you son of a... I must have something missing. Why aren't you fixing it, Prettier? Oh, what? Import React Redux. What file did I put that in? Oh, how did I do that? Get away. That's interesting. I didn't even see that. Did y'all see that happen? I didn't even see that when that did that. That's interesting. Yeah, you're not wrong about the parentheses, but Prettier is going to add them anyways. That wasn't. I mean, lucky that wasn't my problem. If I don't know what, you're probably all using a better editor than me. I'm using Sublime Text. If you've ever needed to pop open the console, it is Control backtick. But anyways, Prettier has decided that it's going to wrap JSX in these. They updated it at like 1.7, I think. So I just go with the flow. VS Code Master Race. I hate the pane splitting in VS Code. It drives me nuts. If they solve that, I might try it again. But the pane splitting doesn't work the way I really like. So that's all right. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. All right, let's see what other errors I got going on here. I've got some other... Oh, it's giving me no shadows. I hate those. Cannot read property props of undefined. Oh, you're totally right. I don't need this. That becomes a little simpler. That's kind of nice. And look, our boundary worked. Oh, that's funny. Good. Everything's working. There's just some errors. No big deal. Prefer default export on actions index. Oh, that's just because I only have one action at the time. So I'm going to claim ESLint disable this. So sometimes you just got to tell your linter to shut up because you know better than they do. That's not their fault. They're just doing their job. It's okay. And that's what they're designed to do. They're designed to yell at you, so it's okay. Did I not get that talk actions index? I thought I did. Did I not put this in the right file? Actions index. Maybe that's not gonna work. ESLint disable import. Do I need to do it in this kind of comment? That doesn't make sense. But I'm happy to give it a try. Okay, looks like I need to put in that kind of code. All right, Sebastian, have a good day. Hope your kids have a good day too, man. Thanks for joining. Always glad chatting with you, man. I'm not sure where Sebastian... I think I'm going to get it wrong. I feel like he's in Poland. I could be wrong. But he's somewhere over in... he's in Europe somewhere. So that makes sense. He's probably like 10, 11 hours ahead of me. Something like that. It is 9:26 here. I mean, maybe even further ahead of me. No, it's got to be about like 9, 10 hours. Something like that. You know, this year has been crazy. I have added friends all over the world. I don't know what's gone on. I don't know why. I don't know how this whole Twitter thing has gone and all crazy. Box is missing. IDs defined but never used. Position defined, never used. I'll get it like that is used. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Yeah, box is already. I really hate this one, the no shadow. This is this idea that like you shouldn't, come on, you shouldn't have a where is it? So it's defined here, and then it's defined again here, and you shouldn't have a shadow of it. Like you shouldn't have the same two things named the same thing, basically. ESLint disable next line no shadow should solve that one. Then we just have some prop types to fix in box. In box. Okay. So this is never used. No unused vars. Okay, I mean, yeah, we can get rid of that for now. You know what? This is what we'll do. We know we get our box. Box is prop types. Shape of. Ah, God darn. I'm not pulling the ID at the moment. I'm not pulling the position at the moment. We'll just do that, and then this will be box.content. And Nick Code Monkey says, dude, I relate to the whole how am I living this life? I never thought Twitter would be the medium for opening up the world for me. Neither did I. That was big news. I guess I didn't share with y'all earlier, but I cracked 2,000 followers this week. What the heck? 2,000 people in this world at some point in their life hit a button to say follow me, and I don't. What? I mean, I don't know. I don't actually feel like I know I add some value. I'm not completely naive, but man, like compared to some of the people I look, and we could all play the comparison game. I get that, but like I'm like, man, what am I adding? Like, other than some good jokes? I hope they're good jokes. I make some people laugh. We got some emojis going on. Ahi, thank you. Nick, Jen cracking 1,000. We'll get you there. That's a Twitch branded like ta-da. That is pretty cool. Onward to 3,000. That's what I say. Yeah. All right. Have we fixed our box issues? No. Why are you yelling at me? Why? Shape of is not a function. Shape. You're totally right. I did array of and shape. They're totally right. Did cam freeze? Looks fine now. If the cam froze, I'm sorry. Sometimes it's a little too much. Box is not required but has no corresponding default plot. I think we finally got it. Did we get it all? Did we get it all? Reload. Yes. Yes. Cool. All right. So there's one thing missing. There's a couple things missing, of course. But we need something to let us add our first box. So I need a button. I need to click that button. That button will create our first box and take us immediately to the edit page of that box. In fact, that's kind of how every box would get made, right? Like you click a button and it would immediately generate the. Would that work? I think that's fine. I can have it generate the box, take you to the edit route. You can edit it, and then you can hit save or you can hit cancel. And if you cancel it, it'll delete the box. It'll be maybe less efficient, but that could work. Another way I can do this would be clicking the button takes you to an add box component or page, and that holds it in state until, actually that would be really good, so I'm not dirtying up my Redux state. But it opens up basically an add box component that has the form I need and a cancel or a submit button. And if you cancel, you just destroy the component. It's meaningless. It doesn't matter. Like, you don't need that state, and you go back. Or if you save it, then it finally fires the add box action. And yeah, that would work. That would work. Where is all this being saved? Did I miss that part? Bob, you haven't missed that part. Right now, none of this is actually being persisted in a sense, and that was something I was going to handle once we got to a place where I could actually add a box. Right now, it's persisted only into our Redux state, which is fine when I'm just prototyping something out, and I don't actually care about long persistence. Now, one problem with that, though, in prototyping is that it'll get destroyed with every single refresh of the page, right? So as I'm building stuff out, if the page refreshes, I lose anything I already added. And so my plan to handle that at first was just to use local storage. In fact, there's a really great package. Jen says local storage as I say it. That's funny. I think it's called Redux Local Storage or React Local Storage. Yeah, but this is a really simple, I believe it's a middleware actually, that it's pretty easy to add, and it persists your state to local storage. And yeah, you can see that right here. So we'll pull a function called, a middleware called persist state, and we'll add it as an enhancer on create store. And what it'll do is it'll just it'll take our state and it'll add it into local storage, and it'll get it back. You don't even need to do this if you don't want, like, you can use this package, and maybe I will. Another thing you can do is like in Redux, it's in your store itself. You could how have I done this? I did this in an app recently. I'd have to check my notes on how I did it, but you could do something like store.subscribe, I think, which should fire every time the store changes. In fact, Redux subscribe. Can I get that? Or is it I'm trying to remember. There's a couple methods on store. Yeah, subscribe, which takes a listener function. Or is it a function? I think it's got to be a function. Okay. Adds a change listener. It will be called any time an action is dispatched. In some part of the state tree the listener should only call dispatch either in response to user actions. Well, that would be nice if they actually showed you arguments, listener, function. Call back to it. You may call get state in that. Subscribe, handle change. Previous current value stored it. Okay, so like I could do something like this just to show you what I mean. Something changed. Okay, got some people saying they love boxes. Just to explain what I'm going to be building maybe over the next few streams is I'll go all the way back to the inspiration slide. Fuck the X. It's a little long. Slides.com has this really nice feature that I really love about the fact that their presentations work both left and right as well as up and down. And I kind of have this idea of trying to build like a talk planner app that you start with one idea and you can add any idea in any direction and just build out a grid of your ideas. I don't know how I'm not worried about this being like publishable or shipping it. I don't care about that stuff. It just seems like a neat idea and something that allows you and I to explore the basics of building a React application together. That's kind of fun. So that's kind of what I'm going for. I have weird ideas all the time, and they're not always linear, which is why I said ideas don't always flow in a straight line. Store was used before it was defined. Fair enough. That's a good call. But what I want to show you is like, so we could actually listen to subscribe, and let's say foo. This is an action. Something changed, right? So anytime an action is dispatched, code cam again. Thank you, Bob. You're like my. Let me do that again. Okay, store subscribe. We're just gonna console log stuff. If I dispatch anything, you can see the number. Can you see it behind my head? You see that number? That number's updating anytime we do an action. So the point being, what you could do is every time subscribe is called, we could do window.local storage. Is it set? Java local storage. I need to remember how to set it. Or is it this? Set item. Set item. Set item works for me. Okay. So you could do window local storage set item talk planner to store.get state. And so I thank you for following BTAs. I actually caught that. I don't always see it. I'm not always good at checking it. But yeah. Jello TV says, hey, what's up, Jello? But anyways, so we can get the current state and add it to subscribe. And so, like, let's do it. Let's add a box. We need to give it an ID. We'll give it like a string of, I don't know. That's a good string. A position of 0, 0. Let's dispatch that. We failed. Oh, content. All right. This is what I'm going to do. Oh, that's my fault. It's something I got to fix. Anyways, what we can do is we can come over to application, and don't you look at my other stuff. No, I'm just kidding. Oh, maybe I have to do JSON stringify. Is that what I have to do? I can never remember if it's stringify or parse. I'm the worst at that. Okay, we're gonna try this again. Let's go back to Redux. Let's do some. I want to fix that box thing first. Box content is required. I'm trying to remember how you deal with nulls. I can say box.default props box. Can I do this? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if it yells at me for that. All right. Add box. Needs an ID of stuff. And it needs a position of... Okay. It's still yelling at me. That's fine. I will deal with that later. But boom. Like, can I click into this? Can I see this? You can see that it's saved here, right? So what you can do for local storage is, here's the other thing you can do now. What we can say is when we're creating the store the first time, we can say const get locally stored state. And what we're going to do is we're going to fire a function that will return window dot local storage get item talk planner. And because we're using that in two places, const local storage key talk planner. Key. And then where did I put this? I'm trying to remember. Okay, so we create the store with the reducer, which reduces our first state. So what I can actually do is I'm importing a reducer. Trying to remember how I did this. Sorry, folks. Well, one thing I can do is look at store, create store, preloaded state. Good. Okay. So then we can just do get locally stored state. Or like you would actually want to do like initial state. We would actually want to see if this is anything. If so, we could do something like that. Maybe return nothing otherwise. But anyways, it doesn't look like I've done it quite right. But Redux, I need to parse it. JSON parse. Boom. There you go. Give me some props on that, people. Building out local storage from memory. Good stuff. I would have to, I know this isn't quite right. We actually don't want to, my fear is like, let's say we can't find it. And it returns null. I think this is an error. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate it. Appreciate the props. Just like I appreciate React props. I know, really corny. But yeah, we got this is a cheap way of making putting local storage into a Redux app really quick. And so this is one of the ways to handle it. Yeah. I really want to handle that more correctly. So let's just fail on purpose. We'll just do foo plus. So this should fail, and I should see a bunch of errors. And our state is null. That's what I feared. So instead, I wonder what happens if I just say if local state return it, and I don't return anything. We'll see what. I don't know that this is the answer either, but this is what I'm going to try. Remember, I'm purposely breaking this to see what happens. Okay, so that's just it. If we don't find it, don't return anything. So that works. That works for me. I wonder if returning undefined would work. Because that's what a no-op returns, right? Like, this technically returns undefined, I think. Oh, it didn't like that. Yeah. So what if I did that? I mean, this is the most readable. I don't know why I would do that. I could try the empty object. I fear it's going to blow away the state because Topher Gates asked, can you just return? So, okay, preloaded state is where I put this in. So I have my reducer, and then I added a preloaded state where I fetched it. And it says, this is the initial state. You may optionally specify to hydrate the state from the server. In universal apps, if you produced a reducer with combined reducers, this must be a plain object with the same shape as the keys passed to it. Otherwise, you are free to pass anything that your reducer can understand. So what I would actually probably do if this was a real application is I would export this. And then I would import initial state, and then I would do this. That's what I would do. And our state is boxes, so it's the right state. That's how I would handle it for real. And we can see that when I do it correctly, I get the box that we already had in state. So yeah, I could do or init state. That would definitely be shorter. Good little optimization there, Ahi. So yeah, I didn't actually plan to build that, but there you have it. There's Redux with local storage. What's it yelling at me about? Unnecessary. Oh, see there it says unnecessary use of conditional. I could have used or unnecessary use of ternary. I could have fixed that, and then yeah, I'm forgetting how I need to handle that null. You know what? We can just do that. An empty string is fine by me. And we can even let's delete this. Local storage dot remove item. Is that what that is? Talk planner. Oh, it might help if I spelled it right. Good. I did remove the is required part. Jello is, I'm just trying to pick up JavaScript. I don't understand much of what you were doing, but it's motivating. That's good. JavaScript has a lot to it. Don't be discouraged. Take courage in the fact that there is so much information out there. Some of what might be confusing is if you're finding old tutorials and new tutorials, because there's kind of mixes of syntaxes and stuff. We did have a big change to JavaScript just a few years ago with the advent of ES 2015, or sometimes called ES6. I know that could be a challenge. But in general, just keep building stuff. You'll learn more. Every day I learn more things. And there's things I can't remember even if I wanted to. Like I showed you earlier, trying to remember JSON parse versus JSON stringify, which are methods on a JSON primitive that allows us to parse JSON responses. So, you know, sometimes you just have to use things until you've used them enough that they actually make sense. As weird as that might sound, you just have to do it to understand it. There's no other way around it. But let's add another box. We'll give it some ID and position. Okay, so our state now has a box with a content. Let's actually like make that box show. Netcode Monkey. I did remove the is required part and got that working. Let's see. I just remember how to search on Google. Well, I mean, I felt I removed it. The is required is on the bottom. It's a level nesting thing. Yeah, searching on Google, man. That's actually most of our job to some degree. Keeping some of it up here helps. And JSON parse, yeah. You might even get more if you did capitals JSON dot parse, because it's the method. Just as something that might be useful to y'all, I use something called Alfred. If you're on Mac, that's something you can use. It's an application that allows you to make workflows and stuff like this. And I have a bunch of workflows that help me like with documentation. I have one that integrates Dash, which is offline documentation. And so, you know, if I want to search the JavaScript docs, like I was doing, like this is really helpful. Or in that case, like JSON.parse. One of my cats knows it's about time to eat dinner. So this could be a really great tool for y'all. So I recommend it if you can afford it and add it. It will save yourself a lot of time looking up docs. I guess the last thing I really want to do tonight, we're gonna go to box. Oh, I forgot to delete that. It's gonna yell at me for not having a default prop though. I don't think. Add box ID. I should have come up with something. I saved it, and position. I'm just gonna copy paste this whole thing so I can use it again. Does it yell at me? No. Okay. All I want to do is one last thing of import styled from React Emotion and const box. He's totally right. That is a bit of a pain. Styled div. We'll do a width of 100, height of 100, and a border of 2 pixels, solid, blah, 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 so. And then here, ooh, I have 2 of them. Why do I have 2 of them? I only thought I had 1 instead. Ooh, because I persisted. Nice. Yeah, that is one interesting thing you'll have with the local storage persistence. Let's see. Marvel Scorpion says, Windows has Zeal, which I guess is a docs thing, and Bob says DevDocs Desktop. There's also, maybe that's what I'm thinking of, devdocs.io. DevDocs? I don't know. If this is what I'm thinking of, yeah. Okay, so this is what Bob is suggesting. It's more or less the same thing as Dash. It's just got a web application and looks like it maybe has a desktop application too, according to Bob. So maybe Bob can post a link to it for everybody. That would be really helpful. But yeah, dude, time has flown. It's almost 10 o'clock. Whew. I know we didn't get very far. I feel like we made some good progress. Yeah, I should definitely make sure this work is saved. We'll pick up here either next week or some other time. Let's see, what is next week? I don't know the exact calendar date next week of when I'll stream, but I will. I'll play. I think I'll probably stream the week after Christmas too. We're not traveling anywhere. We're having some fun here, and we're gonna go like find some day activity to go do and enjoy. So I should be still streaming throughout the break. I'm hoping to get another podcast recorded for Second Career Devs. If you haven't followed my podcast yet, please do. It's on iTunes, Stitcher, and Google Play. It's called Second Career Devs. We have 2 episodes out. I have 2 episodes out. I always use the royal we there. But you should check it out and let me know what you think. I'm a second career dev, so I just thought it would be really cool to reach out and yeah, like tell stories of people who have who've changed their careers drastically and changed their lives. There's some really cool stories out there. Kevin, I will be at Portland React.js. Y'all can hear the automatic feeder. My cat just ran in. I'll give y'all a couple minutes if you have any questions you want to ask me this week. I know I say that every week, but I'm always up to answer your questions. Topher, I enjoy doing my stream, so thank you for enjoying it. I really appreciate that. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I like affirmation. I really appreciate it when y'all give me compliments. It makes me feel good. So thank you. I would love to know what you like about the stream and what I could maybe do specifically to increase like the stuff you like and things I can do a bit better. Jello, you got this, man. You can make the change if that's what you want to do. And what's great about being a career changer, Jello, is that you often bring skills that other people can't bring because of the career you have. And so focus on that as a strength, not as a weakness. Marvel's like, interesting to see you build this. Lots to learn. Hopefully you'll develop this while I'm on stream. I will. I'll do it a little bit. Ahi's still looking forward to testing. Hasn't gotten a lot of knowledge on it yet. Awesome. We'll add some tests to this as it gets bigger. We could add tests for actions and reducers now. And you know, to be frank, like testing is one of my own weaknesses because my first 2 jobs, like the first 4 years I was doing this, didn't really require testing so much. I worked in agencies where you were just pumping shit out so fast that to write tests didn't really make sense. But I'm really working on it. I'm getting better, and so we can get better together. He switched from IT to web dev. Good job. Well done. Congrats. Kevin's got a suggestion to use a boilerplate and some helper modules. Yeah, you're totally right. I think 2 things would have sped this up. I did kind of want to show adding some things, so that's kind of my fault. But you're right, a boilerplate would add some of the modules I need. I need to update my snippets to really save on all that. But you're totally right. There's some busy work I can solve with this. I've never described myself as a fast dev. Some people just seem to, man, they can crank everything out. Create React Native app. To be fair, let me give it a try with Create React app, and I just need to build a few things with it. I've everything I've ever done with Create React app was I run it and then I eject it immediately, so I can start adding the things I want. But you're totally right. And Kevin's a fan of Ignite. That makes sense. That's a product made by Kevin's company. Uh, um, he's just being modest and not and not saying that, I think. Um, and let's see. Ahi wants me to give MobX a try. You're right. I should give it a fair shake one of these days, just so I know it. But I've never talked down about it, so don't think I've ever rejected it. I'm just someone who sometimes thinks like there's too much shit to learn, so you have to sometimes like put blinders on just a little bit, so you only focus on the things that you need to learn at that moment. Uh, and Jen says she does the same thing of injecting immediately. Kevin, Redux sauce would help you reduce code duplication and Redux setup. I've never heard of Redux sauce, so that's something new to me. I'll have to look this up. Some aesthetic toppings for your Redux. All right, I'll check this out and read up about it. Oh, it's also an infinite red tool. You guys make so much open source for being such a small little company. That's pretty awesome. Cool. Um, Maybe Ahi will make a session to teach me on Mob. Do it. Make a video, share it. It's a great way to start getting some followers. If you don't need to stream it, you can just post it on YouTube. Send me a link. That's fine too. If you're not comfortable with the streaming thing, I'm pretty good at talking while I do stuff, and so this seems like a reasonably natural thing for me to do. Kevin's like, we love open source over there at Infinite Red. You guys, I'm so impressed with how much y'all put out. I honestly can't believe it sometimes, but it's really cool. Yes, not to mention Chain React Conf is an Infinite Red product. Yes, not only do they make a shit ton of open source, but they put on a React Native conference here in Portland, which I plan to be at this year. I'm going to submit a lightning talk or two. I was actually thinking of submitting a lightning talk about streaming on Twitch. So I'm not sure what the actual talk is there, but I'm sure I can come up with something to talk about for 5 to 10 minutes. Ahi's son destroyed his microphone. I'm sorry, Ahi. That's a sad day. But no, you don't actually need like the nice microphone like I have up here. You can, you can make a video with your iPhone headphones or something like that. I have found your first few videos, people are pretty forgiving, or can be. I don't know. I just say fuck people who are too critical and mean about the shit you put out. Like, prolific consumers, I don't know that they really deserve to have the opinions they sometimes have. They need to create some stuff. Talk about talking. Yes, I do. I maybe not talk about talking, but so much as like, I think to some degree there's a relationship between how learning to stream on Twitch like allows you to have insights into things like pair programming, or even being better prepared for interviews, because you develop a comfort with talking about your code and talking while you're doing it. And I think that might be the best angle, is like interviews, right? Because so many times you're put on a spot, but you've never practiced before explaining what you're doing to anyone. It's all in your head, and that's the worst place for your thoughts to be during like a job interview. Your thoughts, assuming they're on track and focused, really need to be out loud so people can hear and understand what you're doing. So I think the idea of like, hey, you should give Twitch streaming a try, is not just like, hey, it'll build your confidence as you get better at it. But it'll make you better at interviews. It'll make you better known. It's not the worst way to build up some community. Look at y'all. Y'all are like my community, right? Like, it also helps you realize, like, just how humbling it is to be in this industry, right? Like, I know some shit, but look at how many things y'all put on. Look at all the things you put on the chat that I don't really know, and it's not about like being the smartest one out there. It's just about being willing to put yourself out there and maybe learning a thing or two together. So that's kind of what I got going on. It's not about me explaining what's in your head. But you do, if you do an interview, right, you have to explain what's in your head to the people you're interviewing at. Kevin's like, I love pair programming. I'm still getting better at it. I love it too, but it's not something I've gotten to do a ton of. I would really love to start doing maybe some open source stuff because I haven't done as much of that. And I would really like to kind of challenge myself in 2018 to work on some tools. Like, I want to work on like software. I'm pretty darn good at building UIs and that kind of thing. I want to get better at building like software. So, or libraries, tools, that kind of thing. So, actually, yeah, I need to write a retro of 2017 here pretty soon. That would be a lot of fun to get that out on paper and just share that with everyone, share it with y'all. Yeah, I need to write some more blogs these days. I haven't written anything in a few weeks. It's just been crazy fucking busy. But the most wonderful time of the year is often the most busy time of the year too, right? So, all right, folks, it is almost 10:10. I'm going to wrap this up. Once again, thank you all for joining me this evening. It's been a lot of fun. We didn't get quite as far as I wanted, but I'm still stoked on the progress we made. We'll get further. We did some cool things, right? Like, we learned about, like, how do we add local storage to a Redux store. We handled debugging, which I think is half the battle sometimes, is just working through all that stuff. But we'll get somewhere. Sometimes you just got to get your ideas started. 2 hours isn't really all that much time, but it's enough time to get going. So if you can find an hour or two or something, sit down and you have an idea, get going. Don't let it just sit there. The more you mull on it, the less likely you'll ever get around to actually quite doing it. So do it. Thank you, Bob. You take it easy. Thank you, Napcats. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Kevin, Jen, Ahi, anyone I've missed. Just know you're appreciated. I thank you for hanging out with me. Have yourselves a good night and a good week. I will see you next week. Quick question I see from Natcats. Do you host? I don't know really what that is yet. I'm still learning Twitch. In fact, if y'all know more about Twitch than me, which is probably true, please send me shit on Twitter, or something, to tell me what I need to do better. I will totally accept that advice. I want to do Twitch better. So send that to me. That's Kyle Shevlin. Check out my podcast. Blah 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 blah. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. Have yourselves a good night. Stay safe, folks. I'll catch you later. Yeah, Napcats, I do host Noop Cat, and I host Shirley Woo, SXY Woo. I host their channels when they're on, but I don't host many else, so I'll work on it. You find me more coding streamers, and I'll host them. All right? Find them for me. Catch me on Twitter. Later. Bye.